You probably consider yourself a responsible pet owner. You provide quality food, take regular vet visits, buy expensive toys, and even let your feline sleep in your bed. But what if I told you that despite all this love and care, you might be causing suffering to your four-legged companion? Yes, as contradictory as it may seem, some behaviors we consider normal or even affectionate could be generating anxiety, trauma, and health problems in your cat. What's most concerning is that most of these attitudes happen unconsciously, driven by the best intentions. Recent studies in feline behavior reveal that cats are much more sensitive and complex creatures than we imagined. They possess a sophisticated emotional structure, capable of feeling fear, betrayal, abandonment, and even depression. Unlike dogs, which were domesticated to be more adaptable to our whims, cats have retained much of their wild instincts, meaning certain human actions can be interpreted as real threats. Today I'm going to share with you 9 apparently harmless behaviors that could be deeply hurting your feline. Some of these attitudes are so common that you've probably witnessed or even practiced them without realizing the damage caused. Stay until the end, because the last attitude on our list is considered by specialists one of the cruelest forms of psychological abuse, and unfortunately, it happens silently in thousands of homes every day. Imagine for a moment that you came home and found a complete stranger sleeping in your room, using your things and eating at your table. How would you feel? Violated, anxious, angry? That's exactly what happens in your cat's mind when you introduce a new animal into the environment without proper preparation. For felines, territory isn't just physical space, it's identity, security, and hierarchy. Every surface in the house carries their scent, creating a complex olfactory map that represents their known and controlled world. When another animal simply appears in this universe, it's as if the cat's entire security system collapses. The correct introduction process can take weeks or even months. It starts with total separation of the animals, allowing them to get used only to each other's scent. Then, visual encounters at a distance, always with escape available. Gradually, you decrease the distance, always watching for stress signs like rapid breathing, dilated pupils, or defensive posture. Many pet owners make the mistake of forcing coexistence, believing that they'll get used to it over time. In reality, this approach can create permanent trauma, leading to behavioral problems like territorial aggression, urine marking, or even self-mutilation from stress. Veterinary behaviorist Dr. John Bradshaw, author of several studies on feline cognition, explains that cats can develop chronic anxiety when their territory is constantly invaded, directly affecting their immune system and longevity. A cat's nature is that of a natural explorer. Their ancestors roamed extensive territories, hunted, climbed trees, and had access to various microenvironments. When we confine a feline to a single room, even with the best intentions, we're denying their most fundamental biological essence. Many pet owners justify this practice for practicality. It's easier to clean, it's safer. They don't destroy the house. But the truth is that this spatial limitation can trigger a series of serious behavioral disorders. Confined cats frequently develop stereotypical behaviors like walking in circles, compulsive scratching, or excessive meowing. The lack of adequate environmental stimuli can also lead to what specialists call feline depression. Symptoms include loss of appetite, excessive sleeping, lack of interest in play, and in extreme cases, self-mutilation. The solution isn't necessarily giving full access to the house all at once, but rather creating an enriched environment in the available space. This includes shelves at different heights. Cats need vertical stimulation, various hiding places, rotating toys, scratchers with different textures, and even areas with cat grass. Research conducted by the Animal Behavior Society demonstrates that cats with access to enriched environments show significantly lower levels of cortisol, stress hormone, and live, on average, 2 to 3 years longer than those kept in limited spaces without stimuli. The auditory system of cats is extraordinarily sensitive. They can detect frequencies up to 64,000 Hz compared to humans' 20,000 Hz, which means our loud voice is perceived by them much more intensely than we imagine. A human scream to a cat can be compared to the sound of nearby thunder. Even more concerning is the psychological impact. Cats don't understand screaming as a form of educational communication. Instead, they interpret it as signs of aggression or imminent danger. This instantly activates their fight or flight system, flooding the organism with stress hormones. Behavioral studies show that cats regularly subjected to aggressive communication develop generalized anxiety, may start hiding constantly, lose appetite, or develop inappropriate elimination problems, defecating outside the litter box. Effective communication with felines happens through low and constant tones, slow movements, and non-threatening body language. Many specialists even recommend talking to cats using soft vocalizations, since they are naturally communicative animals and respond positively to gentle vocal interaction. Renowned ethologist Dr. Dennis Turner, who dedicates his career to studying human-cat communication, emphasizes that feline trust, once broken by traumatic experiences with shouting, can take months or years to rebuild and sometimes never fully recovers. This point should be obvious, but unfortunately we still find people who believe that physical discipline works with cats. The reality is absolutely the opposite. Any form of physical violence not only fails to teach, but creates deep and lasting trauma. The feline brain doesn't establish causal connections between physical punishment and the behavior that preceded it. Instead, the cat simply learns that the human is a source of pain and danger. This results in complete deterioration of the trust relationship, leading to permanent defensive behaviors. Cats who suffer physical violence frequently develop reactive aggression, meaning they attack preventively out of fear. They may also present extreme submission behaviors, like urinating when the owner approaches, or develop specific phobias related to human hand movements. The scientifically proven method for behavioral modification in felines is positive reinforcement combined with redirection. When the cat shows appropriate behavior, it's immediately rewarded with something it values: treat, petting, play. Inappropriate behaviors are ignored or redirected to appropriate alternatives. Research from the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants demonstrates that behavioral modification programs based on positive reinforcement have an 87% success rate in cats, compared to only 12% when punitive methods are used. One of the most fascinating characteristics of cats is their emotional autonomy. Unlike dogs, which were selected over millennia to seek human approval, cats have maintained much of their natural independence. This means they have very specific preferences about when, how, and for how long they want physical interaction. Forcing a cat onto your lap, picking it up against its will, or insisting on petting when it shows discomfort isn't just disrespectful, it's traumatic. Cats communicate their boundaries through subtle signals: tail swishing rapidly, ears back, tense body, attempts to move away. Ignoring these signals and continuing with contact forces the animal to use more drastic communication methods, like scratches or bites. The result of this imposition is a negative association with human touch. The cat learns that physical contact means loss of control and discomfort, becoming progressively more evasive and defensive. The correct approach is what behaviorists call feline-informed consent. You offer your open hand at the cat's level and aim for them to approach and initiate contact by rubbing their face or body against you. This behavior indicates they're genuinely interested in the interaction. Cats who are respected in their contact preferences frequently become more affectionate and seek interaction on their own initiative, establishing a relationship based on mutual trust instead of forced submission. Going to the vet or traveling can be a traumatic experience for any cat, but the type of carrier used can transform an already stressful situation into a real nightmare. Carriers that are too small, without adequate ventilation, or made of materials that amplify noise can exponentially intensify the animal's stress. Imagine being trapped in a space where you can't turn around, breathe adequately, or see what's happening around you while being shaken and exposed to unknown noises and smells. That's exactly the experience of a cat in an inadequate carrier. Acute transport stress can have consequences that go far beyond momentary discomfort. Cats can develop phobia of leaving home, hide preventively when they see the transport box, or even present physical symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, or cystitis bladder inflammation related to stress. The ideal carrier should allow the cat to stand, turn completely, and lie down comfortably. It should have adequate ventilation on at least two sides, a non-slip base, and ideally, a top opening to facilitate the animal's entry and exit. A very effective technique is to always leave the carrier available at home, with soft blankets and occasionally treats inside, so the cat creates positive associations with the object. Many cats even use the carrier as a favorite den when it's presented positively. The technique of spraying water on cats as a form of correction has gone viral on the internet, but represents a serious misconception about how felines learn and process information. This approach is based on the false premise that cats respond to punishments the same way as other animals, completely ignoring their specific psychology. When a cat is surprised with water, especially during a behavior it considers natural like scratching furniture or exploring counters, it doesn't establish a logical connection between its action and the consequence. Instead, it develops generalized anxiety and may start associating the owner's presence with unpredictable, negative experiences. The most common result is that the cat simply avoids performing the behavior. When the human is present, but continues doing it when alone. Worse still, it may develop equally inappropriate alternative behaviors, like territory marking with urine or developing compulsions like excessive licking. Behavioral neuroscience shows that the feline brain responds much better to what we call choice enrichment. Instead of punishing inappropriate behavior, we offer more attractive alternatives. For example, if the cat scratches a sofa, we place a more interesting scratcher near the location, perhaps with catnip or different textures. Feline behavior specialists emphasize that patience and consistency in positive redirection may take a few weeks to show results, but create permanent and healthy behavioral changes. Unlike punishments that only temporarily suppress behaviors, feeding goes far beyond simply providing calories. For cats, irregular feeding schedules or inadequate nutritional quality can trigger a cascade of physical and behavioral problems that often go unnoticed by owners. Cats are routine animals by nature. In wildlife, they develop very specific hunting and feeding patterns, usually hunting small prey multiple times a day. When we don't maintain a consistent feeding routine, we cause anxiety and stress that manifest in various ways: excessive vocalization near feeding times, possessive behavior with food, or even aggression directed at other pets or humans. Inadequate nutritional quality has even more serious impacts. Low-quality foods, rich in carbohydrates and poor in animal origin proteins, not only affect physical health but also behavior. Poorly nourished cats may present lethargy, irritability, coat problems, and even personality changes. Hydration is another critical aspect frequently neglected. Cats have naturally low thirst inheritance from their desert ancestors and depend significantly on food moisture to stay hydrated. Feeding based only on dry food without constant access to fresh water can lead to chronic dehydration, kidney and urinary problems. Recent veterinary studies indicate that cats fed high-quality diets with regular schedules show 40% lower stress levels and are significantly less prone to developing anxiety-related behavioral problems. We've reached the most painful and, unfortunately, most common point on this list. Emotional abandonment is a subtle but devastating form of neglect that happens when the owner is physically present but emotionally absent from the cat's life. Unlike physical abandonment, which is obvious and immediately recognizable, emotional abandonment is silent and gradual. It happens when we stop genuinely interacting with our feline, when they become just another object in the house, when their emotional needs are completely ignored. Cats are social animals much more complex than traditionally believed. They develop deep affective bonds with their owners and depend on this connection for their emotional well-being. When this bond is neglected, they can develop what specialists call feline depression, a state of apathy, disinterest, and sadness that can be as debilitating as any physical illness. The signs of emotional abandonment are subtle but revealing. The cat stops seeking attention, sleeps excessively, loses interest in play, may develop compulsive behaviors like obsessive licking or pulling out fur. In extreme cases, they may stop eating adequately or develop elimination problems. What makes the situation particularly cruel is that it often happens gradually without the owner noticing. Daily routine, work, life stress can make us gradually stop dedicating quality time to our feline companion. Recovery of an emotionally neglected cat is possible, but requires conscious dedication. This includes establishing specific daily moments for interaction, whether through play, brushing, or simply sitting near the cat and talking to them. Small, consistent gestures can reactivate the affective bond and return to the feline their confidence in the relationship. Each of these 9 attitudes may seem insignificant in isolation, but their cumulative impact on a cat's emotional and physical life can be devastating. What concerns me most as a specialist is that all of them happen not out of malice, but from lack of understanding about the true nature and needs of felines. Our cats are not small dogs, nor living toys, nor moving decoration. They are complex sentient beings with specific emotional needs, capacity for real suffering, and a unique way of perceiving and interacting with the world. When we adopt a cat, we assume responsibility not only for maintaining their physical health, but also for nurturing their emotional well-being. This means dedicating time to understand their body language, respect their limits, create an environment that meets their natural instincts, and mainly, recognize that they are individuals with their own personality and preferences. The good news is that cats are incredibly resilient and capable of forgiveness. Even if you've recognized some of these behaviors in your own routine, it's never too late to change. Small adjustments in how we interact with our felines can completely transform their quality of life, and consequently, the quality of our relationship with these extraordinary companions. Remember, every cat saved from abandonment, every feline respected in their individuality, Every positive change we make in our behavior as owners contributes to a world where these magnificent beings can live with the dignity and love they deserve. And now tell me, how many of these attitudes have you witnessed, or perhaps even practiced without realizing the damage caused? Which one surprised you most? Your honest reflection on these questions is the first step to becoming the owner your cat truly deserves to have. If this content opened your eyes to aspects you didn't know about feline behavior and well-being, share it with other pet owners. Sometimes, a single piece of information can make the difference between a life of silent suffering and a life of genuine happiness for a cat who just wants to be understood and loved the right way.